What's up, guys? It's Cole from Irishpro Photography, and today we are going to be talking about the current status of film and developing film. As many of you have seen over the past few years, film came back. It really did. A lot more people are getting into film. SLRs and old film cameras are going up in value. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that labs are reappearing. The cameras stay because they don't have operating costs. Well, you get what I'm trying to say by that. Cameras stay around. The labs, they need to pay for themselves, and unfortunately, especially with the digital era and then the beginning of Instagram and all that, and just film just kind of fell off the map. Labs weren't able to keep their, themselves in business, and unfortunately, a lot of labs have gone out of business. I got into film 4 years ago, and that was kind of at the beginning of it coming back. And there was a lab by me that was still in business. Super nice, old guy that ran the place, and we would go in and he would give discounts to students, and he would give us, if we wanted to buy color, he would charge us black and white, prices for color film and all this stuff and developing the color film, and then he would give us discount on black and white. Super nice guy. We would sit there and, have conversations with him while he was developing a film. We would just help him out if he had a lot of orders. I love developing film. I find it awesome. I just don't have the infrastructure here at home to, buy my own equipment and develop here. But, we would help him out if he needed help on a lot of rolls of film and stuff. And, super nice guy, but unfortunately, he wasn't able to keep himself in business. I mean, California is a very expensive place to have a business. I mean, where he was being developed into, they wanted to be prime, retail space, and he was right where they wanted to go, and they ended up kind of forcing him out of business. And unfortunately, that lab went away, and I haven't really been able to develop anything for about 6 months. I did one trip maybe 4.5 months ago with a friend of mine, and we bulk developed a ton of film, but it ended up being really expensive. There's a lab in San Francisco that you can go to, but it's a full day trip for us to do. I mean, we had to leave at 7 a.m. and we were back by maybe 8, just because of the amount of time it takes us to get to San Francisco by train, walk to the lab, develop at the lab, and come back. It just took way too long, and it was very expensive. So we didn't really develop anything, and I'd been looking around for a lab, and I had also been jumping back and forth in terms of figuring out a way to build my own darkroom at home, and I ended up actually going with, let's find a good lab. So I finally found a good lab, and also in doing a lot of research on how labs are these days, I'm kind of going to talk about what I personally think is the best solution in terms of getting your film developed nowadays, and kind of talk about that. So Walgreens, at least every place by me nowadays, no longer develops film. It used to be a place where actually I knew a lot of people that went. They would go and get their Kodak color film developed in an hour, and they loved it. There's a lab. Granted, there is a lab about 20 minutes drive away from me, but they only develop 35 millimeter. They do it in black and white and certain color types. But they're kind of expensive. You have to drive there. It takes a week. You have to go pick it up again, and it's just too much. And also, they won't develop my 120, and they won't develop my 4x5. So that's kind of impractical for me. So personally, what I think for a lot of people, unless you have a good lab that develops everything you need them to develop at good prices, that's close enough to you and practical for you, that's by you, yeah, drive in and do it. Support your local business. That's awesome. Now, granted, this lab for me that I mail into is relatively local. I can drive there if I want, but it's also easier for me to mail to them, and it's not that expensive. Just ground shipping, it gets there in a day anyway. And if you ship it in the morning, it'll get to them by the end of the day. But I have decided mail-in is the way to go. And I personally think if you don't have a lab by you, obviously mail-in's the way to go, unless you can build a darkroom at your house. But I definitely suggest finding yourself a good mail-in lab, and I've said this 8 times. Now, the lab that I found is called Little Film Lab. Now, they're close to me, so I can drive in, but you can ship from anywhere in the country, and I really highly recommend them. Their prices are not terrible. They're average. They're average prices. but the results are very good. They have 2 very high-end scanners, very nice, excuse me, very high-end scanners that you use there, or that you don't use, that they will use, and they have a very good developing process. I've never gotten scratches or streaks on my film from them. I highly, highly recommend their lab. Another thing with a lot of the mail-in labs that I looked at, where they had issues basically with really just, they had become a mail-in lab. They were not originally a mail-in lab, basically, is what happened. And they didn't really have the right infrastructure and the right website set up for being a mail-in lab. A lot of them, it was like, okay, go and print out this order form, then fill out everything in pencil. Then we won't give you any instructions on the best ways to ship your film. And I shouldn't be messing with this box. I keep doing that, but at least it's got multiple layers of protection. Let me get back to reality here. ADHD's going. But, you know, they really just didn't necessarily, you know, it was like, fill out this form, they don't give instructions, and then give us a check that you add up on the prices, and then we'll also invoice you for sending it back, and you need to pay us for sending it back, and all this stuff, and it wasn't very good. Whereas this place, they were built to be a mail-in lab. Their website is really, really well done. Really pretty website. I really like it. You have an account with them where you can track every single one of your orders and the status of every single one of your orders. They have a credit card on file. You fill out a form. You hit submit. They give you a sheet. You go to the store. You send it in. It's really simple. Everything's filled out. They know exactly what's coming. And you can, if you're just having scans done, they send you a link to download all of your scans, which their scans are kind of expensive, but they're really good scans. It takes a while, though, to get scans done. But you get your scans done. They'll give you developing for your scans. And let's say you don't want to pay for each individual shipment of your negatives back. Now, in my case, I get my negatives back and I scan myself. But, I have done this a couple of times where I've shipped in multiple shipments in like a period of 2 weeks, and I know that I'm doing that beforehand. And on every shipment, I'll say ship until I'll say hold the negatives until I tell you to, and I'll ship in hit the tripod, like a ton of orders for just different projects, and then I will hit send them all back at once, so I don't have to pay multiple shipping things. But you can, if you just have scans done, they're sending you scans. You can just maybe once every, and if you do it professionally, you maybe shoot film professionally, so you're getting scans done, you're getting them back, and then maybe every couple of months you say, okay, I want my negatives back, and they just will sleeve if you want to, or whatever, ship your negatives back. But they did a really good job designing their website. It's, really easy to figure out how to ship your film. They're the first place that I actually felt comfortable shipping film to, because the other places were I just didn't think it was very good. They're also close to me, so I can either pick them up in store, pick my negatives up in store, or I can, even just go there and give them stuff and then pick it up a week later or whatever it may be. So anyway, Little Film Lab, definitely highly recommend them. No matter where you are in the U.S., just definitely recommend Little Film Lab. Look them up. I'll put their link in the description. So that's basically film, guys. I mean, it's a dying art, but it's a great art. I use DxO Optics. Sorry, I do use Optics Pro, but I also use Film Pack. I know I have some guys that I am friends with that are very loyal to film that hate me for it, but yes, I love the look of Film Pack 5, the looks that you can get from that. But anyway, film's great. I love shooting film. They're also the first place that I found that still does these 4x5s, and also they do 8x10s. In every size, every type of film, every process, even Kodachrome, they will develop, which is awesome. So anyway, guys, that is it for this video on me blabbering on about the state of film and doing an advertisement for Little Film Lab. Basically, in the end, find yourself a good lab to ship to, or one that's close to you that you can drive to that'll develop everything you need. That is it for this video. Thank you for watching. Remember to subscribe, and I will see. And I will see you on the next video.